Hi, I'm Brandy. This is Hound Dog Hollow. Sorry it's a little late. I did finish my unboxings a few hours ago, um, but I was uploading a couple of them starting, and I learned my lesson yesterday. You definitely don't want to be um, uploading and going live at the same time because your picture quality is crap, at least with my computer or internet. So, got through all the April boxes today. I announced my pregnancy on social media, face, Facebook. And so, lots of well wishes from friends who didn't know. Um, we went to the farmer's market. So, that was actually, not as pleasant as I remember because typically I go in the fall when the weather is better, or if I'm going to go in the summer or the spring, I usually go first thing. A lot of things run out. Um, so, um, yeah, it was very hot. They changed the location and it felt like there was less vendors. But I did get a lovely bouquet for the ofrenda. Today's my my daddy's birthday. Um, so I have a candle for him, and I have my mama says he wants real food, and I didn't cook today, so I'm gonna make. I think Daddy will like it. I'm gonna make onigiri for dinner, and my husband's cooking a pizza for my son. So I'll give him a pizza slice. I'll give him a cold Marta, which is a Puerto Rican beverage, and an onigiri. And my mama says he doesn't like snacks, but I got him some pineapple because he loves pineapple. And one of his sayings was "La piña se pone dulce." The pineapple will get sweet. Things will get better. So that has been my day. Oh, I spent a time talking to my mama and I did my unboxings. And so actually, my unboxings were excellent. Man, those April boxes were very good, very inspiring. I actually have a lot of work that I'm thinking of as it pertains to those boxes. But also, so Mondays is divination, and I have a ton of decks that I have reviewed. And then once the decks are reviewed, I mean, because I still have decks coming in from Kickstarter, and I still have decks literally sitting right there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I need to flip through and do reviews. So I'm good for Mondays. I've got weeks and weeks of Monday content and lots of ideas for after that. Wednesdays is my book reviews, but I haven't read the books. So I actually pulled down 13, which is a lucky number, 13 books that I think that I'm not going to like to read just to get them out. Because usually if I don't like a book, I can I can get through it really quickly or I can't get through it at all and I got to just get rid of it. So we shall see. I started reading those today, and so that's actually what's been really jogging my mind. And I'm trying very hard to be fair and impartial. I just got to get through this first chapter because it's really rough. And so there'll be a full review, but today I've been reading Bucklands. I've actually had Bucklands for about 4 or 5 years. When I first, um, really dived in, I want to say it was like 27, um, to like mainstream witchery, and I discovered not discovered. I've been doing this since I was a kid, but but I go through ebbs and flows where I really want to like participate in the community at large, right? Into conversations. And so I went through this phase in 27 particularly where I wanted to get periodicals and I wanted to get all the Llewellyn books and I wanted to get all the books, so the classics um that I had never purchased before because that's just what wasn't where I was. So I bought a lot of classics like Buckland's, Cunningham's, but Cunningham's is well deserved. It's a classic because they're phenomenal. We'll go through that. They're phenomenal. They're not they're not comprehensive. And we'll talk about that too. And that is something that I want you all to understand. If you go through something like this, you don't see yourself or your practice reflected in it, doesn't mean you're less or you're not doing it right or you're not. It just means that this is a very narrow lens of the vast universe of spiritual practice that encompasses these practices. Wiccanism isn't witchcraft. They're not synonymous. It's a religion that practices witchcraft. But guess what? There's lots of different religions that practice witchcraft in one way or another. And you just have to navigate where you are with that. So find representation for yourself. And when you look at something like this, it's not gospel, right? Obviously, but as in the colloquialism term, as a gospel is like the law, the written, the word. It's not the be all. It's not the definition. It certainly is a trailblazer, and it has its place. But if you don't see yourself reflected in it, there's nothing wrong with you. You just take from it what you need and leave the rest, and look for different resources, which is going to be challenging for people of color because many years of classics and foundational work is extremely Eurocentric. That is not your fault. That is the way that the publishing houses were. And they say that they are trying very hard to redirect. And I see that with certain publishers. I mean, Weiser's had a little bit of a scandal recently, but I don't fucking care about that. They published still a lot of my favorite POC practitioners, like J. Allen Cross. Who else do we have? I think Elohim Lefar. I think Papa Hector. I don't know where Daphne got published. I want to say that it's Weiser. It might be Llewellyn. Llewellyn also did a huge article during BLM that, these are our POC authors, and I actually bought almost all of them, almost everyone. So like Thomas Prower and Lilith Dorsey and et cetera, et cetera. Is it enough? Not nearly. Not even close. But we're working on it, right? We're moving. So that's been a big mind space for me today, and I'm trying. So the first chapter is the history, and I find that it's very challenging because it's kind of fanciful. It was written back in a day, so it's a bit tone deaf. It speaks in a language that we don't speak in. Most of us don't speak in anymore. As far as condescension, just a lot of it is a little bit dated. But some of my favorite books are quite dated, and you just have to sift through the shit and take what is good for you and what is beneficial to your practice. And nothing's ever going to be perfect, okay? And you just have to navigate that. I would never tell you to not read a book because I hate the author or the author's a bad person. If the book is good, the book is good. Even broken clocks are right twice a day. I don't like the cancel culture. So you're not going to read, what was it? God, one of the best fucking books I've ever read on ancestral veneration, which was Honor Your Ancestors or Honor the Ancestors by Galina Kraskova. And people are like, oh, she's tied to white supremacists. Okay, but it's the best fucking book I've ever read on ancestral veneration. It's one of. I don't care if she fucked the devil. I don't care. What she said for me resonated so deeply that it changed my life. So, first of all, those are accusations. I don't know her, and I haven't seen any of that. So that it is what it is. Number two, there's no way in hell she's going to convert me. And number three, I already bought the damn book, and I'm not going to burn my stuff. No, we're not going to do that. So so who does this really well? Elena at the Witch's Box. She does a lot of really excellent book reviews. If you want to see some A+ book reviews, especially about classic books like Drawing Down the Moon, Spiral Dance, Holy Wild. Oh my God, beautiful. By Danielle Dusky. Watch her. She's very fair. She reads a lot, so she's just super eloquent. She's excellent. And she talks about problematic authors. Like the woman who wrote The Miss of Avalon apparently is a monster. I mean, not like accused, like a child molesting pedophile monster. But she talks about like, how do we navigate this work of art, The Miss of Avalon, that meant so much to so many people and has changed so many lives over all of this time, with the fact that the author turned out to be a piece of shit, and worse than a piece of shit, a monster. What do we, how do we navigate that? She really said it eloquently. I really recommend it to you, because cancel culture, a lot of the times, number one, it's a lynch mob, it's a frenzy. And I still believe in America you can say what the fuck you want. Are you free from those consequences? No. But there's really, whatever, what you do in your house with your spiritual practice is very, very private. It's like a lot what you do with your partner, very private. It's nobody's fucking business. Unless you're not, as long as you're not making money from it, stay out of it. But when you're physically hurting people, or when you're doing things that are egregiously unethical, we're talking like human trafficking, we're talking about hurting children, uh, torturing animals. When you get into those things, those are really dangerous areas. Most of the time, we're not talking about that, right? Most of the time, it's some James Charles Toddy Westbrook, whatever the fuck the white guy's name is. What's the white guy's name? He's blonde. Or I don't know if they identify as a he. You guys know it's a blonde guy. Jeffree Star. That people take that and they take that energy and they put it into our community. And then a month later, they will be like, I'm the granddaughter of the witches you couldn't burn. You just had a witch hunt last month. You crucified this person because you don't agree with their view on homosexuality. I don't even know what it is. You guys are crazy. You be killing me. Mind your business. Stay in your lane. I'm trying really hard to be generous to Raymond Buckland. I just got to get through this history chapter because it's rough. It's really rough. And I'm making notes about topics of conversation where we can do better, and topics of conversation where they have a point. So I'm trying to be really fair and neutral. I want to give you guys a good review of the classic literature, but I also want to talk about how it might not be necessarily pertinent or useful for your craft, and that doesn't make you less of a practitioner, and that doesn't make your practice less valid. We're not all Wiccans. There might not even be a name for what you are. You're so unique. And that is the way that it should be. Your connection to spirit and divine is going to be nothing like anybody else's, right? Even within denominations of a church, like my mom goes to church and she has a denomination that she belongs to, but there is nobody like her because she is gifted, right? She has sight to a certain extent. So that is one contentious issue where she's like, he hates Christianity. And obviously, I'm full Catholic. So it's a little bit like Christianity's dour and Wiccanism is happy and joyful. No, it's not. And that's a disservice to Wiccans. You're a human being. You're not just happy and joyful. You have every range of emotion, just like everybody else, all of us, human beings. That's spiritual bypassing. Come on, my dude. We don't talk like that no more. Let's not do that. But of course, when did this poor man write this? Mm-mm-mm. 1986. It's old. It's old. But it's also important, right? Because this was written in times where people didn't talk about that. So for better or for worse, these people did pave the way for us to be able to have the conversation that we're having right now, right? I'm not going to be burned in my community for this conversation with you. I'm not going to be an outcast. I don't have to fear for my life. And a lot of it is from the work of these people. And so for that, I am grateful. So it is a complicated situation. I want to really talk about it here. And I hope that when we get into practice and philosophy and why we're doing what we're doing, what the thought process is, I hope that it'll really improve, because that was one of the very, very strong points of the Witch's Bible by the Farrars, which all of it was excellent. It was extremely dense, and it was explicitly from the lens of Gardnerian Wicca. But it was so heavy on philosophy and why are we doing what are we doing. That for me was a turning point in where I went from um I felt like into advanced practice. When we finally got to have words behind why are we doing what we're doing, and so you could philosophically understand concepts on a building block level, then you can take what it is that you're already doing and connect the dots. And we'll talk about that more, because that's a huge jump that we always miss. There's a bazillion 101 books, and there's very few books that talk about, like, okay, you've been doing this, and this forever. How do we move on? I think, in my opinion, there are several ways, because naturally, I think as human beings, we get interested in a specific topic. And then, if you're anything like me, and I think that if you're following this channel after all of these years, you probably are pretty similar. You deep dive into a topic. I've deep dived into astrology. I love herbology. I love various topics, and I dive into it. And then once you get past the initial practice, astrology gets really philosophical. Astrology gets really deep, and the nuance and the combinations and the practice and the variations become very much intuitive. You have to take that jump to be really good. When you're doing tarot, once you learn, when you memorize everything, you start to take those jumps about what these combinations and what this nuance means. And that's where you go from beginner to more advanced practice, right? So you can do that by deep diving into a topic and then spreading that knowledge across, right? I'm deep diving into astrology, and I could see how these nuances and these archetypes go across so many different other topics. They're in your tarot, they're in your sabbats, they're in your divination, they're in all of these things, and this is how they can connect, because they're archetypes, just the same way that tarot is archetypes, just the same way that stories and mythologies are archetypes, and the same way that we can use the archetypes to understand the natural forces around us, right? So there's deep diving into topics, and then there's actually reading books that are made for advanced practice, in which they tell you about, like let's go back to the Witch's Bible. They say, okay, when you first initiated, when you're a seeker, and then you're at this level, and then you're at this level, and these are the things that you're learning about, and these are the topics, and these are the areas that you need to start being proficient in. Those are guidelines for that specific religion, but then they go into, like, what are you trying to learn? What is the mystery? Because that's one of the concepts that they speak in. Like, what is the mystery that you're trying to work through and unravel and comprehend and get a download about, right? And even in Christianity, you go through your when you're in Sunday school, and you're learning your 10 commandments, you're learning your beatitudes, you're learning, your biblical stories, and the stories teach you lessons and morals. They're symbolic, they're fables, they're mythology, and they teach you all of these things, and they give you value. Oh my God, one of my favorites, the parable of the prodigal son, is one of my favorite to this day. Literally one of my favorite fables, period, dot. Just like that part at the end when he's like, because my son was dead and now he's alive again. That just, it brings me to tears to this day, every time. The prodigal son story, parable by Jesus Christ. It's chef's kiss. Those parables are beautiful. And so so is Aesop's fables, and so is the Hummingbird King, which is a Taino legend, or How the Leopard Got His Spy. The concept is, you're taking these things and you're diving into the archetypes that are recognized by human beings, and you're seeing how that fits for you. And everybody does it. Every religion seeks to understand those mysteries in life. We just call it different things, right? And that goes back to what we were talking about yesterday. We are so much more alike than we are different. So much more. And when we take those steps from practice to a philosophical understanding of why we're practicing, and then we go back to practice, to fundamentals, understanding why you're doing the thing, it just flips everything on its head. It's so, it will really deepen your practice. And then we try to have those conversations, but I don't think most people, I'm sorry. I'm so pregnant. It's fucking gross. Hold on, I'm nauseous. I don't think most people do that extra work. And I don't think it's because I'm better than you or because you don't want to or you're lazy or whatever. I just think that we don't understand the next natural progression because we're saturated with the look. We're saturated with the practice, the basics, the things that we want to show, right? And then we forget to actually meditate, contemplate, philosophize on why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And it takes that extra step to really dive down deep into your philosophical, your metaphorical, your parabolic understanding, then go back to the fundamentals and look at it fresh, and it'll change your life, right? You start out, you read a book, it tells you about the wheel of the year, and you're celebrating the Sabbats like ancient Europeans celebrated it, supposedly, which, by the way, there is no history ever of any ancient civilization celebrating all 8 of those Sabbats. They celebrated here or there, different ones, but all different cultures. That is just a conglomeration made for Wicca. But I digress. They nevertheless honored the turning of the seasons. So you start out, you read the book, and you want to honor it too, and you follow the little steps. I'm going to celebrate Imbolc. I'm going to celebrate Mavon. You're going to do the steps, right? But then, at some point, I hope to God that you think about, like, I'm going to go outside on Imbolc, and I'm going to look around and see what's happening in my area. And then you're like, oh, these are the first snowdrops. I see the first crocus. I can see little footprints here, so it looks like so-and-so is waking up. I can kind of, sense how the smell of outside is changing. And then you start to think about, what does the turning of the wheel look like in the land that I live on? And then you make that jump, because now it's not something that you're doing from a book because it's the thing that you're supposed to be doing. Now it's a thing that is deeply personal to you because you understand how the nature around you that you are a part of is shifting through the year. And then it means something to you, right? My husband doesn't know the Esbats. He knows the solstices and the equinoxes. He doesn't know the Esbats, but he knows when the plum tree is going to bloom. And he knows that he needs to prune when this happens. We talked about it yesterday, phenology. And he knows that when the lilacs bloom, it means this. And that is a deepening of your practice by actually living, by actually monitoring it in your life and bringing it home and personalizing it for you and your family and your traditions and your understanding and your experience of the world. Yes, my darling.
Where's Daddy?
I don't know. I think he was going to make Mama tea because Mama's super thirsty. Can you go find him and remind him?
I can't. I yelled Daddy out there like 5 times.
You yelled Daddy out there like 5 times. Okay. Did you check the kitchen? Okay. Did you check the toilet? Maybe he's potty. The pizza's done. Go find him. Close my door.
Hey, come on.
All right. Go. It's
the microwave.
That's the microwave?
Yeah.
Is he cleaning the pool? Oh, you're gonna step all over my books?
Nope.
He's not outside? Is he in the back? Oh, I bet he's in the backyard. Go check and see if he's in the backyard. Close my door. Sorry about that. Children are part of living life, obviously. So that's kind of what I want to talk about in my channel. And I hope that you guys will remind me, and I hope that we can talk about how we can take concepts and deepen them. And not everybody's going to be at the same juncture, but I don't want to. I don't know, baby. I'm live. You come on, go find him. Oh my gosh. Sorry. My he's literally running around the property screaming. This is ridiculous. It's so funny because my mama says, "Don't eat when you're doing your video because it's not professional." I said, "Mama, I'm not a professional. Not at work. It's supposed to be like we're in my living room." So I'm not eating because I don't want to offend. I am going to eat if I feel like it. And instead, my kid is running around screaming. But again, this whole point is supposed to be us having a conversation in my living room, and that is to be expected in my living room. This is not a front. This is my life. This is who I am. And this is not my profession. This is my passion. This is my hobby. This is my spiritual practice. I make pennies from this. Literal, like I think I get from YouTube maybe $100 a year. And most of it's from unboxing videos. Although like one of my highest viewed videos is my flip through of the steampunk tarot. It's so popular, and I hated that deck. Gosh. What the heck? Did you look in the backyard?
Yes. I looked in the front yard.
I didn't hear you in the backyard.
I was in the backyard.
Mentiroso.
I was sure.
I bet that he's out there looking for squirrels in the backyard. So why don't you go back there?
I don't want to go.
Después necesita esperar.
I don't understand what you're saying, so I'm just gonna.
Then you need to wait. Get out of the room.
No.
Yes. You're gonna get it.
Please just no.
Get out.
No.
Yes, your dad is not here. Do you see him?
No.
Oh, you know what he's doing? What? He's loading the truck up to go to the dump. Go. Anyways, sorry about that. Let's go back to the review of the April boxes and what we are looking at and kind of the thoughts and inspiration and thought process that I have. And of course, unless you guys have any questions, whatever. I'm just pulling up my list of the boxes so I can kind of just jog my memory. So the first box that I got in April was the Sugar Muses box, and the theme was Beltane. Oh, I know. Mom, I am pretty sure that my oven alarm is going off. So if he doesn't find him, I'm going to have to get up for a second and make sure that the pizza doesn't burn because my husband is doing God knows what. He's supposed to make tea for me, make a pizza for my son, and I think that he got distracted by something.
I didn't find him. He wasn't there.
Why don't you go watch Sonic?
It's over.
Oh, it's over. Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Come on.
Are you still
Get out?
Are you still lighting?
Yes, I'm gonna go get you out of my hair. Oh, sorry about that. What a crisis. That alarm was not the microwave, it was the oven. And the pizza, only half of it burned, so my son can eat the other half. And my husband was at my neighbor's house for some reason. I don't even know. I sent my son to go get him. Mystery solved, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, Sugar Muses, April 2022. The unboxings will come up. I'm just trying to talk about thoughts and content. What? Oh, you are so lucky you come bearing gifts. So, my neighbors have a peacock. His name is Percival. And these are his droppings. They're beautiful. Can I please have tea? I am pregnant and thirsty. Yeah. And the pizza's burnt, but give him the not burnt side. Oh. So, mystery solved and all is forgiven. Look how lovely these are. Percival just has the most beautiful plumage. My husband spoils me. Sugar Muses. Sugar Muses, April 2020. Let me pull up the little picture so that I can have a frame of reference. So the theme was Beltane, and it was very pleasant and nostalgic to be unboxing it because I have unboxed so many times that same box, and so it's been just a joy to go back to and see all the little details that she does that I just really love. And the smells are very original for her boxes because she makes the perfumes and such. It smelled very verdant, very floral. It was really nice. It was obviously a Beltane themed box. I don't think that one really jogged a whole lot for me. I've never been a huge Beltane person. It's not my, I don't know. Except for Halloween, I can't think of a quarter day that is really like a big deal for me. The other, so I don't know if I really had any thoughts about that. Then the Sacred Space crate for April. What was the Sacred Space crate for April? Sacred Love. That one I did have thoughts about. Let me talk about that. So it was a Sacred Love, and basically they were saying, or Melissa, who's the creatrix over there, was saying self-love is sacred love, because you can't really not love others fully without fully loving yourself or things like that. Just a really important concept about self-love is the basis for love, right? Which I do believe that you can love deeply and profoundly others more than you love yourself. So that's a nuance, and that goes to personal belief and preference. So what they did have was a figure candle, a female figure candle. I'm assuming she knows that I'm identified as female. And with the idea that you would fix the candle. And so for those of you who don't know, fixing a candle means to prepare it to be used in spell work. It's actually the whole basis of really intensifying and working with your candle work is to fix it, is to really fix your intention to it. And you do that, with inscriptions, with petitions, with herbs, with oils, crystals, the setup, how you burn it, what you say, etc. So there's all of these methods of fixing your candle. Candle magic is not being like, I bought a love candle at the store, I'm going to set it on my altar and I'm going to light it. That might work. It certainly might. And no knocking it if that's the stage that you're at. We all start at some point, right? But then you can add it and personalize it and really give it oomph by fixing it. So she suggests that you fix this candle. The candle is yourself. It's pink for, love, compassion. Pink's really like a compassionate love, gentle love, friendship love, self-love, like a lot like rose quartz, right? And you can fix it to manifest those things for yourself or in yourself that you want. That really intrigued me, right? Because one of the things I don't think that we appreciate is when you feel like for a long time, you really start to feel down on yourself. Why do I always feel bad? Why does my body not work? Why do other women enjoy pregnancy? Why is this never easy for me? You start to like it's not easy to be positive about your vessel, obviously, all the time. Like when you're, at least for me, my personal journey, when I was younger, I was not pretty enough. My body wasn't good enough. I was never going to find somebody who loved me. Obviously, I have like the best man in the world, perfect for me, thinks that I am the Venus de Milo incarnate. I kid you not, I could be bending over, picking up socks, cleaning the bathroom in my nightgown, and he'd be like, "You're so beautiful. I love you. You're so pretty." And I'm like, "Thank you." How about we put our socks in the laundry basket? But it would be a lie if I didn't say that I am also the one who throws them on the floor next to the laundry basket. But I digress. Obviously, I moved past just regular self-loathing, and then obviously I struggled with infertility for many years. We tried for our first son for many years. I got pregnant from fertility medication. We tried for our second son for many years. My son will be 8 when his brother is born, and this time I had miscarriages. So just like very discouraging, very disheartening. You start to think that the secret is meth. I don't know, because everybody else is getting pregnant. Why does this not work? Why is this not working? So, you really, whoever you are, wherever you are in your journey, there's something about yourself that, and maybe not, and if it's you, good for you. But most of us have something about ourselves that we're down about. And that's okay. It's okay. It's normal. Society is perfectly trying to make you feel like shit about stuff. That's how they sell you stuff. They're going to make you feel like a bad mom, no matter how you do it, no matter what you do. They're going to make you feel like you're not attractive, like you're not woman or male or whoever it is that you want to be. They're going to make you feel like you're not smart enough, you're not cool enough, you're not eloquent, whatever it is that you're not enough of. I'm blessed. I have my dream job. I have good friends. I have a wonderful life. I have all of these things. I'm infertile. I mean, I'm having a baby now. And then, well, now that I'm pregnant, I hate being pregnant. It sucks balls. I don't like it. It's painful. I'm nauseous all the time. And you can't say that to any fucking buddy because you wanted this. This is what you prayed for. You're so lucky. You're so blessed. I know. And also, I feel bad all the time. All the time. I feel bad. I was gathering chicken eggs yesterday morning and I had to stop so I could go throw up in the sink. And just stomach acid because I hadn't even eaten yet because I couldn't get anything down. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to be blessed and still feel the pressure of the burden of being blessed. It's okay. It's okay to pray and wish and hope to God for something. And then when you get it, it's still hard because the best things in life are hard. And sometimes they're not. But honestly, they are. Love is work. Hi, honey. Hi. Raising children is work. Doing what you love, still work. Doing things you love, still work. Don't shy away from work. Work is good and noble and honest. Work for the sake of work, not as much. But work to accomplish your goals in life is honorable. But we're not advocating hustle culture here either. All I'm saying is there's a beautiful quote in Ahimi Ora's book called Ancestor Said, which is one of my favorite books in the whole fucking world. I bought one for myself. I bought one for my mom. I highly recommend it to all of you. Ancestor Said by Ahimi Ora. Wisdom. Tons of beautiful quotes. But what hit me really hard when my mother was lecturing me about like, you prayed for this is what you wanted, you're getting what you wanted, this is a blessing. An ancestor said, may you never be overwhelmed by all of your blessings. And I try really hard to think on that. Like, this is a passing phase. This is transient. This is metamorphosis. This is transformation. This is uncomfortable. But discomfort, believe it or not, is part of your experience as a human being, and it's normal. We don't like to think in those terms, but discomfort is as natural as breathing, as your heart beating, as sleep, as joy. Discomfort is a part of life. And how you adjust to it says the most about you. So don't beat yourself up. Do what you can. But I will venture to say that most of you will find a problem with your vessel at one point or another. And it can wear you down. And it can wear down how much you love yourself. And it can wear down how much you are getting out of this finite experience. And so that's what I really started contemplating when I got the figure candle. And it was like, what do I want to manifest in my body? My birthday's coming up, my solar return, you know, my annual perfection is going to change. So your annual perfection is every year of your life, you're in a different house of the zodiac, right? So I'm changing how you change houses on your birthday. On your solar return, you move into a new house. And that year, that 12-month period, is going to focus on terms and growth and expansion or renovation of those concepts in your life. So it's a good time for me to take that candle and really contemplate, like, what do I want? How do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? What do I want to put out there? What do I want to think about myself? And what do I want to present to the world? Hi. Was any of the pizza salvageable?
It's all good.
¿Por qué te fuiste allá?
Okay.
Why'd you go?
I needed the chlorine tab.
You needed the chlorine tabs and you forgot the pizza? Ay, pues. I thought you were outside looking for squirrels.
Good idea.
No, bad idea. Love you. And I'm not going to say that it resonates with all of you. My mom says it sounds really loud when I eat and drink. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm thirsty and I'm not going to sit here for an hour without drinking. And my sister says it sounds like mukbang, and I hate mukbang so much. It grosses me out. So I'm sorry if my slurps are gross. Bear with me. I'm pregnant. So, ideas. If you were going to do a candle like that for yourself and you're going to fix it, right? You're going to take the figure, you're going to write words or an inscription in it. What words do you want for yourself? What words do you want for yourself? What do you want to feel? What do you want to be? What do you want to project into the world? I don't know. I got to think about it. And that's always a beautiful thing, to be inspired, to have an idea, to have a focus for your craft, for where you're going, for what you want to work on. I love inspiration in this thing because now I get to think of, like, how do I want to be? I'm going to be 38. I'm going to be a mama of 2, and I'm going to start my first nurse practitioner job. Thank you, hun. Yes, I'm pregnant with a little boy who's due in December. What does that look like? I'm evolving. I'm changing. Who am I going to be in the world? Who do I want to be in the world? How do I want to be to myself? Because while I feel bad in my body right now, I feel nauseous. I feel throw uppy. I can't get more than 500 or 600 calories a day. Like, I have severe food aversions. It's really hard for, like, I'm struggling, guys. I'm struggling. Um, but I gotta remember that to my husband and son, I'm the whole world. So what does that look like? To my patient, this is life or death. What does that look like? To my community, my words are important. Um, I can change your point of view. I can make you feel more welcome and safe. What does that look like? I mean, I've always been very conscientious about my responsibility to society and my place in it. Um, but it is an excellent exercise for your idea of self value, of self worth, of self concept, of self love to understand how you define yourself, how the world sees you, and if there's a juxtaposition or if there's a difference, how can we line those up? How can we better be who we want to be in the world? How can we better show up how we want to show up? And for a lot of people, that means a lot of different things. So you would inscribe a words, 1 word, 2 word sentence. You might even have a lot to say and you fold it in a petition paper and you want to bring these things to you. So you fold it to you, you turn it clockwise, you fold it to you, you turn it clockwise and you fold it to you, and then you put it under the candle while it burns. Or however the petition word part looks for you. And then you say, the feeling that I want is um, abundance, inspiration, compassion, eloquence. And then you say, I really think that um, herb wise, sunflower petals. I'm a sunflower. Sunflower petals. I really feel like lavender buds. I really feel like orange peels. I really love um, that depth and spice and mystery of cinnamon, or the richness of coffee bean. So then you think, like, what correspondent herbs? How does that look? What do I want to present? What's the vibe? What am I attracting? What am I putting out? Then you add your herbs based on that. I usually pick a number. Like 4 would be stability, or 7 is one of my go-tos. Just 7's a good number. I try not to do 5. For me, 5 is always cacophony, conflict. But it could for you be the pentagram, all elements and spirit. So whatever works for you. Then you pick an oil, and maybe for me it's open roads. This is going to be my year. I'm going to just success, crown of success, victory, protection. I am protected. Nothing can harm me. I'm safe. Whatever that is that you want to fix to yourself, you. So I prepare all my items first. This is not the order that I would do. I'm going to think of my words. I'm going to gather my herbs for my vibe. I'm going to gather my oil. 1 oil I usually do. You might mix 2, but I usually stick to 1. And then I'm going to gather the other things that I'm going to set up around. Maybe citrine is really like where I'm at this year. Carnelian is really about my passion and my victory and just like getting what it is that I want. Maybe some rose quartz because I'm going to love myself. Maybe some pyrite because everything I touch is going to turn to gold. Maybe some smoky quartz because I'm grounded and protected. Whatever it is, you're going to gather your items. You're going to take your candle. You're going to inscribe your words on it. You're going to take your oil and you're going to anoint it towards yourself. Towards yourself. You're bringing the things into you. You're bringing the things into you. Then you're going to take your herbs. I grind them. I talk to each one. I say, oh, cinnamon, may you bring me. And then grind it. And then that's, oh, orange peel, may you bring me. Whatever. You talk to it. You give it your breath. Give it your air. You give it your intentions, your thoughts. so on and so forth. You grind it all together and then you roll it onto your candle. Then you set up your little space. You got your little crystals. Maybe you got some petals. Maybe you got a beautiful altar cloth, a picture of how you want to look, something you want to be like Scarlett O'Hara and just have the gumption like out of this world, the backbone of adamantium. I don't know. Whatever it is, you put that there, you burn it. And that's going to fix those things to yourself and you're going to become that. So that was really just super inspired by that box. And that was the Sacred Space Crate for April, had a figure candle. And her suggestion was to use it to manifest self-love, the things that you want to be. And that was very inspiring for me. You don't have to get that box to do that. You can order a figure candle. You can go to your Botanica. You can go to your local store. You can order a figure candle from Amazon or online. Yale Botanica. What's the one? There's another one by the one that Catherine Ironwood runs. I mean, there's lots. Etsy, for Pete's sake. You can find a figure candle. It's going to be more expensive on Etsy than it is on the other places, but support where you want to put your money. And the herbs I usually get from my collection or from my yard. The crystals, I usually have my favorites that I use for things over and over again. For this particular working, I think a carnelian flame that I own would just be so powerful, so passionate, so igniting, inspiring. And you can make that as big or as little or as easy as you want. You don't even have to get a figure candle. If you just have a chime candle and you inscribe on it and do the rest of the steps, you could do that for yourself. You could do this work. And then you got to believe it, and you got to take the steps to make it happen. You have to put in the work. It'll come to you. But you gotta live it. You gotta do it. You gotta be it. And any ideas you guys have, I'd love to hear it. I hope that this is not an echo chamber, but I also hope that you enjoy the ideas, the content. So let me think. The Witch's Roots box for April. Oh, it was fairy. It was rose hips, which I was just thinking about, like, rose hips have a lot of vitamin C. And if you live in a place where citrus doesn't grow, that's an excellent source of shit hits the fan and you need to, like, not get scurvy. I don't work with the Fae. Their energy to me is very volatile. They are land spirits and they are not to be trifled with or taken lightly, and they are not your friend, in my personal opinion. You can cultivate relationships, certainly, but I never think of them as cutesy Tinkerbell shit. That's just not safe. Don't do that. However you connect, whatever your practice is, you do you, boo. But for my personal self, I say, here's your honey and milk, far on the end of my property. Keep it real. Don't hurt nothing. Try not to let bad things happen here. Thank you so much. Bye. And that's the extent of it. So I wasn't super like inspired by that. Oh no, what am I doing? Sorry. The Witch's Moon for April. Oh, that one was excellent. So good. So good. So it was like tree or earth themed, which I love trees. That's one of my most grievously sad things when I go to visit my mom in Southern California. There's no trees. There's palm trees, but I live in the Pacific Northwest, so like trees everywhere all the time. It just feels like not real life without trees. But that's just my preference, right? So the box had a beautiful Book of Shadows artwork for trees, which I love. And the standard stuff like an oil or a spray, a candle, a crystal, etc., etc. What it had as a big item though was a beautiful carved piece of wood with a woman's face in it. And I immediately thought Grandmother Willow. Loved it. And I was thinking, like, where am I going to put this? Because my first instinct is to put it on a tree outside, but it'll get ruined. And so I read, I go through and I read part, I don't read it verbatim because that's just too much, of the insert that tells you like this is made out of this and this is what we were thinking and this is how we suggest you use it. And the suggestion was to put it somewhere in your house surrounded by plants and I really dug that. And it really resonated deeply with me because my favorite, so I have a lot of statues. Not a lot, I guess. I have three statues of the Virgin Mary. And I want a big, giant concrete one for the garden, which is easy to find in California. Not so much in Oregon. There's not as big a Catholic population here, which is regrettable because I love Catholic iconography. But I have them, and the way that I have this one in this room, there's two in this room. One is rose quartz, and she's lovely, but she's fragile. So I'm actually got her on a shelf over here because I cannot think how to store her without hurting her. And I really don't want to hurt her because she was very expensive and she's extremely beautiful. But this one was one that I happened to get at Ross, and she's lovely. And I have her surrounded by spider plants, and the spider plants have just grown all around her. And so it's just like, to me, the most beautiful and natural way to portray her. Like the one I want for outside, I want to put surrounded by roses, which are her flower, right? Symbolic of her, and they go together. But also because I think of her heavily as of the earth, as Mother Earth, different faces of the same entity, which of course my personal understanding of the universe and yours might be different. But it makes sense to me that the Father in the sky and your Earth Mother would make the sun. So would make the sun. So that just sticks with me. And that's how my little brain understands the universe. And so I associate her extremely intimately with Earth itself. And a lot of my imagery and my meditations and my things center around that image of almost intertwined. And so like it's kind of like when Juan Diego saw Guadalupe, she was Guadalupe, right? She was a Marian apparition, but at the same time, she presented it with a lot of the imagery of their earth goddess Tonantzin. So don't quote me because I don't speak really good indigenous Mexican words. But she came and she presented very similarly. There was a lot of archetypical portrayal and similarities between this traditional indigenous earth goddess imagery and the way that Juan Diego perceived Guadalupe. And so that always stuck with me, which Guadalupe is not my favorite Marian apparition. She's a really important one in this part of the world. But she's not my favorite. There's lots. You have to really look at it. People are just loving Our Lady of Sorrows right now, which is usually like black and gold with lots of tears. And she's beautiful. Just like Pieta is beautiful by Michelangelo. But it's not my favorite. The death of my son is not my favorite imagery at this stage in my life. Just not my jam. But absolutely just absolutely beautiful. Pieta is one of my favorite images in the world. So it had this wooden carving, and it really got me thinking about the parallels between Mother Earth, Mother of God, Mother, divine, feminine energy. How does it look? What does it go? What does it go with? Plants. It goes with things that you nurture. It goes with things that you keep alive. It goes with things that help keep you alive. It just makes sense to me. It is Earth. It is of the Earth. It doesn't just represent Earth. It is Earth. It is literally the soil from which we came, figuratively, but not super figuratively, right? To some extent, literal. So it's very interesting thought for me. Exactly, Purple. That's exactly how I think of it. And even like a step further in like my practice and my prayers, when I ground and first you focus on your breathing, you bring yourself back into yourself. That's the easiest way for me, is to focus on my breath. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, and all of these things are happening in my body. But then from there, my next step, grounding my energy. With grounding and earthing are different, but we can talk about that in a more advanced topic. Earthing is literally putting a bare part of your body on the earth, on soil, on a plant. And that, I read a whole book about that. It was an excellent book, Earth Prescription. I'll do a review for the channel at some point. That is about the literal science of grounding your electrical impulses and charges to the earth, which will help you physically. And there's actual lots and lots and lots of studies, not American studies, because we take nature for granted a lot of the time, but like Japanese studies where they have like forest bathing and stuff, but still very intelligent people. There's no reason to think that their studies would be crap. Show that connecting, grounding, earthing, and releasing your electrical charge into the earth, which is made to receive electricity, right? Will help your body heal, will help your neurotransmitters, because every thought that you have and every action that you have is an electrical impulse flowing through you. So it makes perfect sense that your health can be affected by grounding, by taking the electrical charges in your body and redistributing them and grounding those that need grounding. Or so grounding is an electrical term, meaning that you're making, I don't know exactly, my husband would have to explain it to you, but I understand the concept in that we're trying to safely disperse this excess energy so we don't get electrocuted. And that's earthing. When I'm talking about grounding, is I'm talking about the spiritual anchoring of your spirit. And I anchor my spirit to the earth. And my imagery is root growing. I imagine that my spine and all the surfaces of my body start to grow roots. And I physically ground into the earth like a tree or something with deep, deep roots, and nothing can rock me or sway me because I am stuck to the earth. I am grounded. I am secure. I am safe. You just imagine your roots go deep, 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 deep until they reach the core of the earth, and in the core of the earth is the energy of the earth, golden. And it's almost like a hug. And then I focus on bringing that energy up and through the roots into myself, and all the crap and the gunk and the feel bad and the whatever the is weighing me down or not making me feel grounded or making me feel chaotic or disorganized or whatever, all the negativity, all the crap, all the waste, I imagine as black that goes down into the earth, and she'll recycle it because the earth takes garbage and shit and decay and corpses and turns it into new life. So I give that to her. I suck up her energy and I'm grounded. Then I center myself all that energy centered. And sometimes I'll go so far as to say, okay, now I'm going to connect to the sky. And I imagine all my chakras lined up and a lightning bolt down in through me. Those energies combine, we center to my heart, and then shield. And that is a fundamental practice. I mean, we talked about it briefly yesterday, but whatever imagery works for you, that's what imagery works for me. And even using the same guided exercise with my husband, he had different imagery. For me, a shield is like an impenetrable orb around me that nothing can get in. For him, it's a physical spike shield, almost a weapon. Very interesting difference. For you, it might be something else. I don't know, but explore that. Definitely look into that. My dogs are sniffing at the door. I've got like the worst feeling right here, like nausea, heartburn, just ugh. But it has nothing to do with anything except for hormones. What else? So that's what I thought of. The practice, the earth, Mother Earth, and Mother of God, and my understanding of that. It was very pleasant thoughts. They're pleasant to share now. And I like to think about how that imagery comes up for me a lot. This is so personal. I pray for roadkill, for animals that were killed on the side of the road. For when I ever see a little body, I will pray Hail Mary for it and visualize in my head this golden, perfectly whole creature spiritually being free and going off with their mother, Mother Earth. And sometimes if they're little, she'll carry them. And sometimes if they're big, she'll walk with them. But that's my imagery, is that they would get up and return to their mother and be free and try again. And if you want to see some beautiful work around seeing dead animals and respecting that they feel and love and nurture their young, Amanda Stronza on Instagram, just absolute beauty, just absolute poetry, just sumptuous, so moving, so beautiful. Cannot recommend her enough. Amanda Stronza on Instagram. She does little, not altars, but memorials. Oh, that's wonderful, Katrina. But memorials of dead animals that she finds, and she puts flowers and leaves and arranges them. And then she talks about the animal because she's an animal photographer. And sometimes, she tries to save them. A lot of times it doesn't work. She talks about the circle of life. She talks about feeding the vultures. It's just so beautiful. You don't have to, but it will change your life. It will change the way that you think. And I once had an encounter with a land spirit, and not a particularly friendly one, but it's so weird, so personal to say. But at this point, the three of you that are here, I trust you. Amanda Stronza. Let me write it. She's amazing. Let me see about her Instagram. It is just beautiful. The poetry, the everything. It's just, she's Amanda. Yeah, that's exactly her Instagram handle too. And she's her artwork, she has a show of her artwork, and it's called Kindred Spirits. But it's just about seeing. It's just about seeing these critters that are living and loving and nurturing and dying by us. And we just We don't see them. And everything wants to be seen. Everything wants to be seen. Everything with a spirit wants to be seen, and everything has a spirit, right? Things give you what you feed them. And that goes to, so I would pray. I habitually pray. And if I'm responsible or related to the death, or I can do something, I have a funeral and I sing to it, usually Dust in the Wind, flowers, make my husband dig a grave, me and my husband and son go out there and have a funeral. If in any way I'm responsible or related or had to do or witness the death. So I take it an extra step too. So you always go with your comfort level, but I'm that person. But anyways, I was walking to and from work. I live on a country road, so most of my walk is on country road. And unfortunately, it's a high-speed limit road, so there is lots of dead things. And I try to get them out of the road safely and then just pray for them really quick. But because the main thing you want is for them to be out of the road, because the things that will eat them will also get killed. If you leave it in the road, they'll get killed trying to eat, which is like, you cannot even complete the circle of life because we're just bombarding on our way to some place we don't want to fucking be. But I digress. So I'm walking and I love to look around and I love to smell, and I'm doing my thing where I'm like, oh, this tree is blooming. I wonder what this tree is. I'm going to look it up on the way home. Oh, look. Like, I try to be present in the nature because that's a gift. And especially after the fire, all of these things are coming back to life. It's a gift. And so I was walking by and I happened to notice eyes across the road. And I looked and it was a dead deer. And it was a deer that was so long dead, it did not have eyes, which is not unusual. They lose, eyes are juicy, so things eat them pretty quickly. But like the fur was decaying. So usually they puff up and then something will pop them and they start to deflate. Things eat them, right? And so all the little ribs, and it was all bent over. It was a young deer, got hit, was in this ditch, decomposing. And I looked at it and I prayed for it and I imagined it. I visualized it being a beautiful golden deer and walking off with our mother. And my habit was to pray for the same deer and look for it every time I walked by. And one time I walked by and it was looking at me. I can't explain it. It was animated, but it wasn't the deer. It was a land spirit. It was a land spirit of roadkill, of unwanted things, of dead things that we ignore. And it was looking at me and I was looking at it. And it's so weird because land spirits are a big deal. Land spirits are eternal, right? They will be dead animals long after there's no more humans. And there have been dead animals for millennia before us. And I got the overwhelming urge, like not urge, but unverified personal gnosis that it was gracing me with a visit of it because it saw me seeing them. And it wanted me to know that it saw me too, even though I was kind of insignificant compared to this ancient thing. It was just once. And just super interesting, moving experience in my life where it's just like, I can see this thing that's forever years old and will live forever. And it sees me. And all I did was see things that deserve to be seen. I wonder if she's ever had an experience like that. I'm sure she has. But I also got a really, not heavy, but overwhelmed. Like, land spirits are intense. Like, I was just talking to a friend about the real way the angels look, right? Angels are not just beautiful light. The way that the angels are described in the Bible are like lots of eyes and lots of faces and lots of arms. And so that's why usually when they come to you, they say, be not afraid. And it's that kind, but also angels vibrate on this, just this vibration that's not regular life. And so um I have felt that vibration too, and it jarred the shit out of me because it's just overwhelming to be in that presence. I felt this way about that, but just as like as if a mountain had decided to acknowledge me. That's how I felt. Like a mountain had said, "Oh, look, it's you," and you're just like, "Yes, please don't hurt me." And it's just like, "Okay, bye." That's what it felt like. And I hope that you guys have experiences like that if you want it. But all you have to do is look. It's out there always, waiting for us to see it. Everything wants to be seen, especially your fellow humans. So if you can only see other humans, then that's still a good start because seeing other people is hard. And the more people that you can see and understand and give compassion to and kindness, the better the world will be. If you can only give gift of sight to one thing, let it be your loved ones and the people that you know. But if you got extracurricular seeing, then the land and animals especially deserve your recognition. Your house deserves your recognition and love. Your bed, your stove, the things that you love, your animals that you love, your plants that you love, your yard that you love, your area that you love, the sun, it wants to be seen. It wants to be seen. So, Earth Mother, Mother of God, basis of my practice. Not basis, but definitely a backbone. And every mother before. Mother and mother and mother and mother and mother. Mother is a name for God in the lips and hearts of all children. And it's true. All right. Sorry if I get on a tangent. If you have any thoughts, let me know. If you have any questions, if you have any input. The Witch's Bounty for April. Let me think. Lapis lazuli and a seed of life. It was quite lovely. I didn't have any epiphanies about that. I just wanted to show my son though because he plays Minecraft a lot, and I was like, "Oh, I have lapis lazuli," and he's like, "No, you don't." And I'm like, "Yes, I do." So I'll show him that. I forgot. And then I say accidentally. It probably wasn't an accident because I love to shop and buy things. But the Witch's Box has a mystery box roughly twice a year. And I always get on the wait list and I always purchase one because for $100, they send you this big box, heavy box, absolutely packed to the brim with extra stuff from their warehouse. It's, in my opinion, worth every penny. I always get way more than $100 worth of stuff. And just no instructions, no nothing, just a box full of things to discover and to do. And a lot of it's really interesting things that you would find it like at a Botanica or just a hoodoo shop. I don't know, just so interesting. And books, journals, candles, different powders, incense, herbs, books of shadow paint, lots of stuff. By and large, those are one of my most popular videos here on YouTube, some of my most popular content. Somehow, I bought 2 this year. I don't know why I did that or how. And I must have bought them at 2 different times because one came like right on the last day of February, first day of March, and the other one came like mid to late April. So they must have had 2 sales kind of close together or something. I don't know. But I bought 2. So I opened another one today and it was full, just overflowing full of witchy goodness, all sorts of stuff. So it had a book, had a tapestry, had some altar cloths, a little cauldron, a sun plaque, sigils, a pendulum, a whole bunch of celestial washi tape, a candle, a selenite athame, Nagchampa incense. Oh, lots of different powders. Asafoetida powder, which be careful with that shit because it smells bad. It is called the devil's dung for a reason, and it is extremely potent work. And plus, I don't touch anything because there are some things that are an abortifacient you really don't want to handle when you're in my condition. They also had High John the Conqueror root floor sweep to get rid of jinxes, which is really cool. They had a huge bag of dragon's blood incense powder. Excellent. I love dragon's blood. It's excellent, excellent, excellent. Good stuff. Tons of books of shadow pages, some stickers. It was really full. Not necessarily, and I am pretty interesting because there was a while there where I learned a lot about asafoetida, and then I don't remember most of it, which is fine. Those kind of things. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have ever read Sabriel, the Everson series, but their main book, it's called The Book of the Dead. And it's a different book every time you read it. The book will show you what it thinks that you need to know at the time. And I think a lot of times our memory and our work, our practice, your spirit, coincidence, whatever, your angels, your guides, will show you what it is you need to think about right now. Bring it to you, right? Synchronicities, coincidence. And so it was just very interesting to me. I've read at length about both of those. I'm pretty sure the asafoetida is a lot. They talk about it, not a lot, but fairly often in the Invoking Witchcraft podcast. I haven't listened to it in a long time. I really haven't been connected with the community in that way in quite some time. And I'm pretty sure that it was in the book. And then the High John the Conqueror root was probably in my hoodoo herb book, which is another favorite of mine. Suffice it to say, I haven't needed it, so I haven't looked at it, which is great. But that was my boxes for today. My thoughts were around those topics: Earth Mother, self, candle work, and of course, bucklands. We are going to have to do a careful, thorough review of this, and I will try to be as fair and unbiased as possible. I hope it gets better, though, because I'm struggling right now. But I think, whoa. I think that everything will be okay. I forgot about binding and initiations. There's some really traditional Wicca stuff that's wild. Just you should be bound for your initiations and your coven. You should be naked and bound. And I respect your desire to do so. I'm not doing that. And it's not like this is the first book. The Witch's Bible also extensively with photographs of Janet Farrar talks about that, and the fivefold kiss and how you should be arranged male, female, male, female. And I'm just like, y'all are wild. Good for you. Doing the polyamory thing before it was cool, hipster Gardenians. But just you roll with it. If you listen to an old-fashioned person, like, for example, I had the luck of going to a lecture by Byron Ballard last year at Hexfest in New Orleans, which was super fun. We should make a plan to go, some of us, next year. I was a little bit burnt out, though, because it's mostly white-centric lectures. And then the few that were actually by people of color, I couldn't get in because it was overflowing with with other people, and there was no way to like say, hey, I'm interested in these classes, so I'm signing up for these classes. So but I was lucky to listen to some really wise old folks speak. I listened to Priestess Miriam, and that was pure joy. Excellent, 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 excellent. I cannot just sing her praises enough. And I listened to Byron Ballard, which isn't the first time that I have watched her. I also did WitchCon, which was fun. WitchCon was actually really good value because it was all virtual and all Zoom, and you could go back to it for a year. And it was like 100 plus different lectures, just by all different people, all different, just so much. If we can get it together to have like a little Zoom group, that might be a really fun opportunity because you do that virtually and you can connect virtually, and we could have like little chats afterwards virtually. It'll be really fun. But I digress. I watched her there, and I didn't like her lecture that much because she did a lecture on candy peanuts. And in my brain, I was like, those are the growth, that's loser candy. If you've seen Gravity Falls, you know what I'm talking about. If that big old Halloween trickster was made out of circus peanut candy and candy corn and those little strawberry candies, and then the black and the orange candies, all of that, that's what the Halloween trickster is made out of, loser candy. And I didn't pay very good attention. I was dismissive, and I was wrong, because I went to her lecture last year, and she's really wise, and she's old. She's been practicing for a long time. She doesn't put on any airs, and she had like a structure, but it was a loose structure to her talk, and a lot of it was anecdotes from her experience, and it was really interesting. So I did buy her book, and her book, what is it, Seasons of the Witch or something like that, is actually, I haven't read the whole thing, but I did sit there and read at least a chapter or two just at the bookstore, like, wow, this is excellent. It's just so, no putting on airs, mundane, Appalachian granny working. It's really resonated with just like normal, to me, normal, traditional like superstition stuff, which I think of as a huge part of ancestral and old fashioned and low mundane work, is superstition and tradition and ritual and how we do things. And we just do them that way because grandma did them that way and her grandma did them that way, and that's just how it's done. Is that good for everything? No. That's where we get back to philosophy and why are we doing the thing, right? But for traditions, it's really a good thing to think about to deepen your work and your connection. I've gone longer than I should, but oh yeah, Byron Ballard is Byron Ballard. She's at Troy. I forget the name of her book, but it was really good. I have it somewhere over here. Priestess Miriam. I don't know if she wrote any books, but she is the voodoo queen of New Orleans right now. Like, she's the head of the voodoo temple in New Orleans. She's there. She's it. She's the leader. And she came to do a talk. She does one, I think, every year. And there was, I mean, of all the people of color who attended that conference, I think we were all in that room on the edge of our seats. She was just so wise. And I remember there was a girl in the row in front of me, a young, she's got to be 19, young girl. And she just wanted to go more than anything. And it got to the point where it's like, if you don't sit still, I'm going to rip your fucking hair out. Because I am trying to like, I cannot write this wisdom fast enough. And your twitching is distracting me. And I wasn't the only one, because I chatted with the people afterwards and they were like, yeah, it's rude. But one of the things that she said was so wise, because as a voodoo queen in New Orleans, she gets asked and approached for work and for readings. And she says, You will pick, some of you, shouldn't say all of you, some of you will pick your problem that you will have for the rest of your life. You will pick your problem that you will have for the rest of your life. And she's like, how many times will the same woman with the same crusty ass man come and ask me for work, for a reading, how to keep him to stay, blah, 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 for the same man, instead of just and moving on, cutting your losses and moving on? You will pick your problem for the rest of your life. And that resonated so deeply with me. Some of us, and maybe in the past, me probably, where you pick this thing that is toxic for you, it's self-destructive, and on some level you know that, but damn it, you're gonna this is the hill you're gonna die on. And just an observation of human nature that resonated deeply, because I have seen myself do that thing. We tell ourselves stories about ourselves, about our lives, about the people in them, about our situation. And even though we know how the story ends and we don't fucking like it, we will keep telling the same fucking story because we're used to the story, because we know how it goes, because it's our story. But guess what? You don't have to tell yourself the same story. Anytime you can change the story. The story doesn't have to be the same. If you want a different response, you got to do something different. And then you change the story. How did that manifest? I mean, even just like the way my husband and I would bicker or fight. Something would happen, I would get annoyed, he would need space. And instead of wanting to give him space, I wanted to do an Elmira and hug him and squeeze him and hold him until he suffocated in my love. Did not work well. We both ended up getting angry and frustrated and blowing up. So I had to stop telling myself that story, that was the answer. The story had to change. I had to, and don't get me wrong, because to this day, I will sometimes feel the call to tell that old familiar story, to do the thing that I know is toxic and destructive. I have to talk myself down. I have to be like, we don't like that story. That's not our favorite story. That's a terrible story. We don't want that story. We don't want it. We're not going to do that thing because we hate that thing. If that thing is bad for us, that thing only gives us things that we don't like. And even though it's super familiar and oh so tempting to act out of pocket and to do something toxic and self-destructive, I don't like that story and I'm not going to do it. And a lot of times it's easier and it's just second nature because I like the new story better. But sometimes, it happened recently where my husband did something out of pocket and my first response was to come down like the wrath of God. And I did sit there for a good 30 seconds just thinking like, I'm not going to do this. I want to, and it's real appealing. That sounds good, but I'm not going to do it. And I didn't do it. And we dieted down, but I did confess to him that like I got so close to doing that thing where I ramp it up, where I add gasoline to the fire, because if you're going to burn me, everything's going to burn. We don't have to do that. We don't have to tell those same stories. It may not be as dramatic as what I'm talking about here, but I bet you recognize that self-destructive, toxic bullshit somewhere in your life. You don't got to tell those same stories. But the way that she told it made it feel like a universal truth. She's talked to thousands of people over her 60 some odd years of doing this about the worst, most personal, most hurtful, deepest parts of their desires and their spirits. And this universal truth is that we pick the stories. We pick our problems. We pick those things that eat us up. And we keep doing it out of habit, out of comfort, out of familiarity. There is comfort in the familiar, even if it's painful. And for some people, it's eating yourself sick. even though you know you don't want to eat that other slice of pizza. You don't actually want it, but you do want it because you want to finish the pizza, right? You just want it. And you know you're going to feel like shit, and you know you're going to hate yourself, and you know you're going to be uncomfortably full, and you know it's not even going to taste that good, but you want it. We don't have to tell ourselves that same story. I bet there's lots of stories that we tell ourselves that are lies. That are lies that are holding us back. That we're picking for comfort and familiarity as opposed to the painful possibility of growth. That was one of my favorite lectures of the whole trip. She said a lot more. I wrote it down. I'll have to find it because I literally wrote it down. And periodically she would say, write this down. And I did. You bet. I wrote it down. It was really good. I hope someday to just have that kind of wisdom that can touch somebody deeply, that can change their life. I hope that for you guys too. We talked about a lot of philosophical topics, and I'm actually tired and hungry. And my mama says I should avoid eating on camera because it's not professional. This is not a professional program. This is a labor of love. I love you. And then my sister chimed in and said that I should do mukbang, which is very rude because mukbang disgusts me, especially in my pregnancy. Just the watching and the sounds of the eating. So I'm not eating right now, but I am going to go eat. And I am going to make some onigiri. I'm going to have some pineapples with chamoy. And I'm going to have some gushers and chamoy. Because that's what the baby wants. And I'm going to light the ofrenda for my dad. I'm going to put some pineapple and some pizza on there. My husband brought the pizza. But it's not like he's going to like any pizza because this is a stove oven cheap store pizza, and my daddy grew up in the Bronx, so it's New York pizza. It ain't. Sorry, Dad. And I'm not cooking, so but I will put a martha on there and something to snack on and some pineapple for you and light a candle. And I bought some flowers, so that's what I'm gonna go do. Oh, because it's 8:15. Oh my god, I put my kid to bed. Anyways, I love you guys. Please, if you like any of this, if you want to talk about these topics, give me a comment, send me a DM. Let's think about what we want this community to look at. Ideally, I would like it to be friendly for all levels. But the level that I really want to focus on is how we can go transition into advanced practice. How we can make those jumps from beginner shit, novice shit, thinking of things on the surface into really thinking about things and really owning these things and really alchemizing these things and these ideas and these practices. Thank you. So tomorrow I'm going to unbox the May boxes. There's only 4, but I have to work too. So I work 4:30 to probably 5:30. So I'll probably come on about the same time, Pacific Standard Time, if I'm feeling well. You never know with this baby. He has moods. And then we'll just briefly go over what inspired me, what I thought from these boxes, which I don't usually cover when I do the unboxing. When I do the unboxing, I talk about literally like what are these items and briefly what I think about them. What I hear is saying like philosophically, I thought about these concepts when I was prompted by these items in the box, which I think is a really nice jump. Because like I said yesterday, I saw an influencer who sells books and stuff saying like, what do you do with your subscription boxes? Like, why do you need all that stuff? Sir, mind your business. It's my house. You mind your business. I don't need you and my husband asking me all them questions. And number two, this is good. Let me tell you what I do with the stuff. So, philosophically, what my ideas around the workings for the stuff. And then as I get this room cleaned up, like, where am I storing my artwork? How do I do that? What does my book of shadows look like? How does that look like? What do my decks look like? Where are my books? Like, how do I use that? Where do I put the crystals? Where do I put the herbs? How do I use them? What does that look like? We'll do more of that once this it's died down, because this is the Wild West in here. There's boxes of different categories almost on every surface to help me stay organized so that we can do the sale and have a reset. And I pop my subscription boxes so that it's a true reset. The stuff is gone to you guys. The stuff that I keep, I need to use. No more boxes until we have control of the process here. This is not a store. I'm not stocking a store. Well, no, we're not doing that right now. But at any rate, love you. I've got to eat. I hope you have a wonderful night. I hope you got something out of this chat. Whatever didn't resonate with you, you can let it go from you like water off a duck's back. I enjoy and appreciate any feedback. I love you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.